just to
Sorry.
kind of demystify a little bit in that you don't need to go and buy a ton of stuff. A lot of the stuff you probably have at home already. You probably have like, you know, some kind of fruit at home. Maybe you have a block of cheese at home. Maybe you have some, you know, a couple of carrots, a cucumber, you know, a few tomatoes. You don't need a lot of everything. So even if you have like half a bag of nuts in the pantry or, you know, some dried fruit, all of that can go and populate your charcuterie boards. You don't have to go buy a bunch of stuff. Just buy a few pieces that you don't have, and the rest I think you can scavenge. You know, like you'll see that someone gave me a little box of chocolates that they got from the hotel they were staying at, and they didn't eat them. They thought they were really pretty. They gave them to me. I'm going to use those on my board today. I have some leftover hummus from this weekend. I have some leftover grapes. So a lot of that is just going to go into this. And once we start the PowerPoint, we'll go through that. And then we're going to make a little charcuterie board. And for Valentine's Day, I have a little heart-shaped one here. So we'll do kind of dinner and dessert on here for you to watch. So
Sorry, wait, how do I switch to show my screen? It's not giving me the option.
yeah, sorry.
Hold on, sorry. Isn't it here? Or yeah, oh wait, share, right? Where is it? Oh, share.
Yeah. The green button.
Oh, share the screen. Okay, got it. Sorry. It was a little different on this one. Okay. All right, we're gonna go over the PowerPoint right now. I'm gonna share my screen.
Okay, so just with like the first slide that you're gonna see, let's
sorry, yeah.
this one is the one that I told you I made just during the pandemic, and I was scavenging, and we didn't have quite enough on here. So in the middle there, I just had my friend, as they were coming over, I'm like, can you pick up some chicken nuggets from Wendy's on the way over? And so I just put chicken nuggets in here. Put whatever you want that makes you happy. And on this one, I just wanted to make a comment on, like, you know, when you have like little containers that are left over, you can see that I have like little dips and some cheese balls in there. So I've just been I keep all the little containers to help me put my charcuterie boards together that I can use ongoing. Also, one note I wanted to point out here on this particular board, you'll see in the bottom right-hand corner that I have some goat cheese that's cut up there. With goat cheese, really popular thing for charcuterie boards. But you do need to let it sit out for a little while before you cut it. Otherwise, it'll just crumble into pieces and it will look like a nightmare. Otherwise, if you don't cut it, leave it as a chunk. That's okay too. On this one, I wanted just to show you, try and add some flowers to your board once you're done. It really does, you know, kind of spruce it up, or some herbs. Like I have some basil on here. Again, just a little pinch of basil that I had growing in the windowsill. On this one, I just wanted to point out, like, you know, I had a couple tangerines, I had an apple. I just cut those and added them to here too. I also had a few pieces of chocolate. I put that on there. And wanted to make sure that, you know, I just had more variety.
Sorry.
And then on this one here, really, you know, if you take a look at it, you can see again those jars that I was mentioning. Like, these are those jars that you buy that expensive European yogurt. I just keep them and then I use them afterwards on my charcuterie boards for things like if you have any kind of chutney or fig jam or something like that. It really is helpful just to have those lying around, and they're super useful. And on this one, you know, the other thing I wanted to mention was, like, you know, I put some greenery at the bottom of this one because I made it over Christmas. So you can just see some, like, you know, not fern, but, you know, Christmas tree kind of pieces that I had left over. I put them at the bottom. And then also it's always really fun when you're making these to try and do, you know, like, oh my gosh, I have 5, 6, 7 different cheeses on there. Well, if you don't have that many cheeses, it's okay. You can take one slab of cheese and cut it in slices. Then you can cut part of it in cubes, and then you can crumble the rest of it. No one's even going to notice that they are the same cheese. So make your block of cheese go a long way. This is an example I wanted just to show you of when you're putting your board,
Sorry.
when you're putting your boards together,
Oh, sorry. That-
you want to make you know, a lot of times when we're dealing with vegetables, we cut all the tops off, we peel everything, we clean everything, and that's great. But if you take a look on here, like the carrot stems, I think add a little something to this, and I think that it looks good with the carrot stems. So you can always just, you know, add stuff like that and keep it on there. The other thing that looks great are radishes. If you keep the stems on those, if you cut some in half, you put some whole, great pop of color. This is one I was just playing around with. I wanted to do only fruits and vegetables, so I decided to go with the rainbow. And as you can see on here, again, I did keep the carrot stems on. You can see radishes there in the middle, and I kept the stems on those. And then also on my strawberries, I kept the stems on some of those. I think it, just for some of them, it looks good. And then when you're talking about charcuterie, it doesn't have to be one giant board. These are little things I made for some friends and I that were going to go and picnic during the pandemic, and we were still at that point where can we touch the same food? Can we share? We weren't really sure. So I just made little individual containers with, you know, everyone had a couple, you know, carrots, cucumber, tomatoes, fruits, cheeses, salami, there were some nuts in there, and a couple pieces of candy. So, you know, very easy to do. And it was just really something kind of fun where everyone could use one themselves.
Sorry, go ahead.
Along the same vein, this is also another good way to do an individual portion of charcuterie. These were cups. And basically, again, it was just at the end of the pandemic, and our boss retired, and we wanted to do a party, but you know, we're like, how do we share food? So I just made these cups, and it was great because people were just kind of, you know, it was like a cocktail party, but you know, everyone was outside. They had their charcuterie cup in one hand and their glass of wine in the other, and people were just kind of nibbling through the day or through the evening. And I did some vegetarian and some not. This is just a fun one I did for someone's 50th birthday. And, you know, I just found these cardboard number cutouts on an online retailer that I won't mention. But it was very easy just to order these. You can get them, I think, at some of the craft stores as well, and just fill them up with all kinds of fun stuff that they like to eat. And then this is just a selection of smaller charcuterie boards that I did. They were about the size of like a regular dinner plate. And I did a whole bunch for, it was actually a memorial service, but we put them all around the house as people came over. So this was just, you know, before we placed them, but it was just great to have like one outside on a table, one on a end table, one on the dining table, and people were just kind of milling around and they could just nibble and graze as they wanted to. And this one, this is my attempt at a charcuterie. It was Christmas, and I was like, I'm gonna make people something because I just got into making charcuterie boards. So this is my attempt at a wreath. I even got those little lights on there. And I added a couple bottles of Prosecco, and for some people I did some sparkling apple cider. And then the little container at the back, those are the crackers, because I didn't want to put the crackers in with the rest of stuff and have it sit for a few hours because it would get soggy, so I put those separately. But you can just see another fun way. You know, there's some pieces that I chopped off my Christmas tree and I put in there just to have a little decoration. Anyway, just a super fun little gift, I thought, for my friends. And then this is the last one I'll show you, just a different shape. We had a meeting with at work, and I decided I was in charge of snacks, and I'm gonna go all out and put together a charcuterie board. And you'll notice there's a lot of dessert on that one. So it was super fun to do. And, you know, I think the key to a successful charcuterie board is fill it up. Don't have any gaps. Just try and get stuff in every little nook and cranny that you can, because it really looks plentiful. Okay.
Okay. let's switch back over real quick. Hold on.
So now we're gonna come back over here and I'm gonna just show you a couple of things.
Hold on. Stop sharing. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, okay.
So as I said, we're gonna try and do a small charcuterie board in the shape of hearts for Valentine's. But I know one thing that I've been asked several times on what to do, on how to do it, is how to make the salami rose or the salami flower.
Mhm.
So this is what we're gonna try and end up with.
Yeah, we'll switch cameras here.
So we're switching cameras and I hope you can see this. So I do have some salami here and these are just regular old pieces of salami, nothing too exciting.
Mhm.
And the easiest way to do it is just to line them up,
I'll do it a little bit closer.
just overlapping a little bit. This one's kind of a funky piece. It's a little thick on that side. So just line them up. And then what I do towards, and they're overlapping slightly. What I do towards, as I get towards the end, and you can use 6 pieces, you can use 20 pieces, however big you want this to be. What I do towards the end is I start curving upwards a little bit. And you'll see why I'm doing that, just to give it a little bit different perspective. So this, I think, should be enough. And what you do is you just fold these over, fold them in half, and just press down, fold everything over in half, press down, try and keep it as mushed as you can. Again, and now if you notice at the end, I'm not folding in half as much. I'm kind of only folding about 40 or about 40% over, maybe 35. So there's a little bit more of the top that you can see. And once you do that, you just go to one side and you just start rolling it up and try and keep it relatively tight, but it doesn't have to be super tight. So you just roll, and I hope this is translating okay on the monitor. You roll and until you get to the end, and I'm doing this sideways. Normally I would turn this to face me. And then once you've got them done, you have what looks a little bit like a rose. Now, one thing you can do that I would do is I have these little containers that I put my roses in. They're just little bamboo containers that I purchased. And the easiest way to do it is to get a couple extra pieces, put them in here as like an anchor. That's 3 pieces in total that I'm putting in. And then I'm gonna wedge this in. Just gonna push it down and then floof it out a little bit and you end up with a little rose, a little flower. So those always look nice on your charcuterie board. So what I'm gonna do is now start putting together this one board here. See, we have something to celebrate for Valentine's. I'll get here with.
Yeah. Yeah, we can see, right?
So if you can see over here as well on this side, I have basically put together, I pre-chopped everything because this would be excruciating if you had to watch me chop everything and like wash everything. I don't think we'd get done in an hour. But I will tell you that all the prep work for this took me maybe about 45 minutes. So it's not that long. The other thing I'll tell you when it comes to this is start with some pieces perhaps that are a little bit larger. So that way you can place them and then start filling in everything else. Like a good thing to do is perhaps to start with one of these because they're a little bit larger. And I put a lot of salami in there. You could have only put 6 pieces in there and made it much smaller. If you don't have these little cups, don't worry about it. Just stick a toothpick through it and put it in the fridge for maybe an hour and it'll just stick together. No problem. So what I do is like think, okay, where do I want to really start this? What I want to have as my highlight for this. So I'm gonna place this up here in the corner. I'm not sure why, but I'm gonna put it there for now. I'm also gonna look back over here at my board and see what else I have that's a little bit larger in scale that I want to include. And I do have these cucumbers. They're gonna take up a little space. So I just bought the mini cucumbers and I cut them in half. You can buy any cucumber you want. You can cut them in half like I did lengthwise or cut them into strips. You can also just cut them on an angle so they look, look cute. This is just what I opted to do. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pick a location where I think perhaps some cucumbers might look good. I really like having different kinds of fruits and vegetables mixed in with my board. And all I'm doing here is stacking some of them. Oh, that one's kind of big. I'm not gonna use all of them, but let's just start there. I can always remove, I can always add. I've also got some of these rainbow carrots here. So what I'm gonna do is think, okay, where would those likely go? I don't like to put all the same color together. I do like to vary it up a little bit. So I'm gonna just try and wedge my carrots right in here. It seems like a logical place to put them. Whoopsie. No problem, that'll go back. And just pick, a location you want to do this. Put them on here, arrange them however you like, whatever appeals to you. I just picked these heirloom carrots out. You can pick out any carrots you want. If you have one in the fridge, you can chop them up lengthwise in little strips, or you can cut them on an angle and put them in that way too. The next thing I have on here that I think is kind of a bigger piece is I have this piece of brie. So I'm going to, and I did cut it. This was a bit bigger piece, but I did cut a little piece. With brie, it's nice when it's been out for maybe 45 minutes or so and it's coming up a little bit to room temperature. But be warned, if you buy the really super creamy brie and you leave it out for a while, it's gonna start to spread. So if you have people who don't like it, you probably don't want to put it too close to something that they might eat. So now let me see, would this look okay here? Maybe, let's try it there and see where we go. I also have these other pieces of cheese that I cut. And this particular cheese is a double Gloucester. It's a Cotswolds double Gloucester. It's like a cheddar and it's got some chive in it. It comes in this triangular shape. And if you're doing a big board like this, you could just put this entire chub down on there and just put a little knife with it and let people cut their own or break off a piece. Same with the brie. You can keep it like this, or you can cut pieces and leave it in slices. With brie, I would keep it together because it really does start to spread once you cut it, and it makes it very sticky and hard to pull apart. With the cheddar, that's not going to happen. So like I said, you could keep this whole on your board, or you could cut it up. I decided just to be lazy. It's already in triangles. So I just cut the pieces in triangles. And I just put them, instead of all in the same direction, I put them in opposing directions. Again, very simple, nothing too exciting. I'm just gonna stick that over here next to my flower. And it's like, okay, I've got a few pieces there.
Looks like a bow tie.
Yeah, it does look like a bow tie. I also have, like I said, a lot of things on this board. And you'll notice that I do have a bunch of crackers as well that I'll show you in a little bit. Just a tip for when you're making this. If you do have crackers, you can certainly put them, on the board wherever you want to. You could just stand them up, wherever you want, or lay them down or fan them out. But the thing to remember with crackers is if you make this board ahead of time, the crackers can get soggy. So the good thing about everything here is you can prep all this the day before or a couple days ahead. You can get everything washed and chopped. You can get all your cheeses chopped, put them in a container and just put them in the fridge. And then you can make this the day of. Or you can make this whole thing the day before, wrap it tight in some kind of saran wrap, and on the day, just take it out. What I would do is then create a secondary little platter only with crackers. You can make that the day ahead as well and saran wrap that. As long as there's nothing moist with the crackers, you'll be good and they'll preserve. So other stuff I have on here that I really like to include is, this is just some pepper jack cheese. And all I did was cut it in cubes. Very easy, nothing too exciting, but a really nice addition to a cheese board. So I'm just gonna stick those right here at the top. And like I said, this is like something that you can change and move around as much as you want. There's nothing saying it has to end up where it starts. And, you know, you can build up high, you can do low, it's up to you. The one thing I will think about, you know, like I said before, when you're making these, is really try to cover the entire board, so you don't have anything, any loose little open parts. The other thing I have on here that I should include pretty soon, because it takes up some space, is I have a little thing, this looks gross right now, actually, now that I'm looking at it, but it's hummus. I love hummus. And this is a pretty, you know, good little container. So I want to make sure I put it somewhere that, you know, has some space. And I have a little space right here underneath my cheese. So I'm just gonna wedge that in there. And there we go, got the hummus. And the nice thing about this is it'll go well with the vegetables. And again, going back to my blocks of cheese, it just came in this, you know, flat piece, and I just cut those into chunks. I also have another kind of cheese that a lot of you might be familiar with. It's just that Boursin soft cheese. And I just cut this into a little triangle. Excuse me, well, I guess it is. I cut this into a quarter. You could put the whole thing on here. If I was doing a board this size, I'd put the whole thing on there. You could leave it in the foil if you want. And then with this, you could just take the piece out and you can place it perhaps right in the corner, wherever you really want to. So we have a lot of cheese on here already. We have some salami. I also have another kind of cheese, and I've just put it with some toothpicks. And this is just mozzarella cheese with cherry tomatoes. That's it. You can also add basil to your toothpicks. You can also add some salami to your toothpicks. All of that is just going to make it that much better. So it looks like I need a little bit of color over here. So I'm going to put these, and I'm just going to wedge those right in here. So I have a little bit of red. Okay. Now I also have quite a few grapes that I want to include. So I've got some green grapes and I've got some red grapes. And what I've done is cut them into like little pockets here, or little bunches, because otherwise if they're single, they're a little bit harder to maneuver. So I'm going to try and pick where I want to put these. And honestly, I think putting some right here will look great, because I've got two different kinds of white cheese. And I've got another little bunch here that I'm going to put on top. So all we're doing is just keep adding. You can't really go wrong here. One person asked me once before, like, well, I'm just not creative, so how do I know where to put stuff? And that is the easiest thing. Just put it anywhere you want. And then just put something next to it, and next to it, and next to it, and build from that. If you are, you know, someone who likes symmetry, you can treat one of these large boards like a checkerboard, where it just has a bunch of squares, and you just start thinking about where the squares would be and fill them in. You could also get some rubber gloves, put a little oil on your finger, and trace a weird pattern on here, and then fill in the little circles and squiggles with different kinds of fruits and vegetables, just to make it look a little bit different. I also do have some green grapes here. This is a pretty big bunch of grapes, but you know, I do love my green grapes, so I'm just going to stick those in here. And I've got some, I had these little Baby Bell cheeses in the fridge, and these are like perfect for a charcuterie board. You can leave them like this, or you can just unwrap them and put them on there like that. We have a lot of cheese on here, so I'm probably not going to put those in just yet. I also have, as you'll see, some cashew nuts. Any nuts that you have, feel free to just add them in. And this is like pretty simple to do. By just, you can leave them in a container like this. I rarely do though. I usually just try and fill up my corners, my little gaps with different kinds of nuts. I'll see if I need any more of those. And then I also have some little cranberries here, which are like super delish. So these cranberries, I'm going to put right in here because I've got a gap, and I'm just going to try and fill that little gap with some dried cranberries. Again, if you have any kind of dried fruit or some kind of nuts in your pantry. Perfect. I do have some olives here. I'm not a big olive fan, but it seems like everybody I know loves olives. So I don't necessarily want to buy a big jar of olives because I'm just gonna have a big jar of olives left over. But you can buy these little packs that come with this many olives. So those are great to use. And what you can do, like I said, just, pop them in the corner here, fill in your gap. You don't have anything really green right there. So I think these will look good. And if it falls off, no big deal. Just wedge it back in. That's all I do.
Those packs are cool too, because they don't have like too much liquid as
Yeah,
well.
there's no liquid in them,
Mhm.
which is great.
Yeah.
And
Ruin
then
your aesthetic.
I'm purposely haven't put any kind of crackers in here because I do want to just try to fill it up with, I don't want it to get too soggy. But I do have some crackers that I can put in. I can try and sneak some in here on the side next to my cheese and my grapes, or I can try and wedge some right in here because there's some space there. That looks fine. I also have some little like mini pretzels that I bought, and they're just really small little crunchy pretzels. Again, you can put these wherever you want, or you can leave off your crackers all together and just put those separately. The other thing that's really popular, and I mentioned it while I was showing you some of the pictures, is our different kinds of spreads. And this one is a fig spread, but a chutney or a caramelized onion spread or a bell pepper relish spread, all of those are great on your board. They go well with a cracker, some cheese, and some salami. So these you don't have to do really much with. You could just put the entire jar on here. Now I'm looking and I'm like, you know what? I think I gave my cucumbers a little bit too much real estate. So I'm gonna steal some of it back. And I'm gonna try and sneak this jar in here. And so I can put that jar right there. And now I have a little bit more room that I can put some other things. And what I've cut up, I love just cutting up a cutie. And you can stick a cutie in there. I've cut one up again into like a quarter. So you can just pop that in there. I think that looks pretty cute. And then I also have some raspberries and some blackberries, and those always look good. So I'm just gonna put some in the corner and fill in my gaps. And then I have, oh my gosh, this blackberry is gonna be like the whole board. It's so huge. But I'm gonna fill those in here next to the salami. You can obviously do this without any kind of salami. If you don't want any kind of meat on here, that's no problem. And you just start putting these together. And when you look at it and you're like, this looks kind of dull over here. There isn't anything too exciting. There's nothing that some raspberries won't cure. And you can just put a couple in for decoration. And if you have any gaps, like I have a tiny little gap here, you can also fill that in with whatever you like. Raspberry, another blackberry, a couple raspberries. I think that always looks really pretty. So you'll notice that I, pushed a lot of stuff together here. I have this big open space right now left here. And what I want to do is a little dessert. So wouldn't be Valentine's without some dessert. So I do have a few things that I put together here. I have just some brownies. Yum! And you can, just mix and match. Now, there's nothing to say you couldn't have done a few little healthy things here, and the whole rest of it could have been dessert. Or you can mix your dessert in. It doesn't really matter. So I've got a couple brownies. I'm going to put those in there. I've got some of these little pink, I don't even really know what these are, but they're little cakes, little petit fours, I think. So we'll put those in there. And you can put them together, you can, stand them up, you can have them lean on each other, really whatever you want to do. Then I also have a whole bunch of little jelly beans that are, believe it or not, heart-shaped. So I could put this entire container here of jelly beans, which I think I'm gonna do because they're really yummy and they're super cute. So I'm gonna put those in there. And then I also have this great, I'll move that over a bit. I found these little chocolate cookie hearts. And so
Yeah.
you can put those in. In fact, I'm gonna put a few in just decoratively. Like so. And I'm also going to just put a couple throughout because who doesn't love a little bit of chocolate placed at different places? Because yum, right? And then the other thing that I do want to make sure that I do on the dessert side is make it look plentiful. I'm going to add a few more fruits because I think that we all like having some raspberries and blackberries on there. And I'm gonna go for one more star, just like right there, maybe over here. Because they are so cute. And then the last thing, or a couple of the last things that I'll mention, oh, you know, I did forget. I told you a friend brought me those chocolates that I never ate. And so these are these like fancy looking chocolates here. And I thought, oh, won't those look good on a charcuterie board? So I'm just gonna add, see if I can get them out of here without totally breaking them. Oh, I can. And so I'm just gonna add a couple of these. Actually, this one's pretty fun. Onto my board. And I'm gonna put one over here because, well, why not? And so this is getting pretty full, but like I said, you do want a board that really looks full and it's not empty. And it has a lot of good stuff on there. And the other thing you can do is you can buy edible flowers. I would encourage them to be edible, like chamomile, if you are taking this and sharing it with a lot of people you don't know. Allie and I are just gonna sit here and eat this, so we know that this is not, these are not edible. So I have just a rose here. I could put a rose on here if I wanted to, you know, really kind of go with the whole Valentine's theme. I have some just little cute little pink flowers that I can place and I can put them wherever I think they should go. And then I also have some little just cute little white daisy looking flowers and I can place those as well. And really, you know, when it comes to flowers, I think they add a lot to your charcuterie board. And you know, they just kind of make it look a little prettier. I'm gonna take this big rose off for a second because I think it's a little too much, but I do have some little ostromerias here that I think will look a lot better and more appropriate on here. So I'm gonna put those in there. And then one more little bunch of pink flowers. And I'm just gonna stick those over here. So with that, this is a pretty big, robust board. Obviously, I was trying to get a lot in here because, you know, obviously I want to show you all the different things you can put on here.
Yeah, maybe turn it.
Yeah. I'm gonna turn it around. You definitely don't need to put this much on here, but I did it just so you can see just how much food you can get on a very small plate and how much you can enjoy. I think it's also just a couple things that I don't have on here. A lot of people like to have honey when they're eating brie and some kind of prosciutto or salami. You can have a little jar of honey like the fig spread. You can also get these little packets of honey that you can drizzle on. I think it's always also worthwhile having a little cheese knife that you leave next to your board and a little pair of tongs so people can feel comfortable taking what they want. And you'll notice the tongs are little hearts because we're doing Valentine's Day. And then you can also get these little, this is plastic, but these little forks that you can give to everyone if they want to go ahead and take what they like. So these are just a few things that I think add to a charcuterie board. These are the kinds of things I put on here. like I said, sorry, this is so big right now. But I did want you to see how much we can really fit on there. And I hope you have a lot of fun with your charcuterie.
Somebody had a question actually.
Yeah.
How many people would you recommend serving with this size board?
I think this is perfect for 2 people,
Hmm.
because you have about, 4 pieces of cheese like this, that's about 2 each. You have the salami, there were, I think, about 10, or no, 8 pieces in here, maybe 9. So 4 or 5 each is a good number. I think this you could easily have 2 people and come out feeling pretty full.
I'm just gonna get some close-ups here.
Sure.
Close-up of the board. You guys can see all of Michelle's beautiful work. Little chocolates, fruit, everything looks
Yeah.
great.
Anything you don't like,
Mhm.
take it off.
Yep.
No problem.
All right, looks beautiful. Oh, somebody just asked, well, they said it looks so good. If you have a board out at a party, do you restock it at all or just leave it?
Oh, that's a great question. I actually restock it. So what I will have are extra vegetables already pre-chopped and in a box ready to go. I do not keep everything in separate containers because that is just going to take me forever. So I'll have like one big container with all my vegetables, one big container with all my cheeses, and I'll restock. The easy things, of course, are like nuts and all of those. But if I'm gonna have a larger event where I'm gonna have quite a few people, I will do the smaller boards. So like this, but round. And I will do several of them and have them throughout the house versus one big one. Also, if you are buying a board, like this is a really nice wooden board. It looks great when it's completely full. It looked great half full. But if you can find a round one that has a little bit of a lip, like I'm gonna just get rid of these grapes right now so you can see it. This has a little bit of a lip here on the end, so stuff won't fall out as easily. Some are flat. You can also find some boards that are on a Lazy Susan. I have one that's about this large and it's a Lazy Susan, so it's great for the middle of just stick it on your kitchen counter. Everyone can just nibble as they want. What we'll do is like sometimes just on a weekend day, I'll just create a board around, 11:30 or noon. I'll leave it on the kitchen counter and we just kind of graze all day as we're, doing stuff in the yard or watching TV or doing laundry. And it's just kind of our snack board for the day.
And then somebody else asked, Sarah asks, do you have go-to stores where you buy certain parts of the board, like the little jars of spread, crackers, cheese, etc.?
Yeah, I tend to go to Trader Joe's mostly because it's probably the most inexpensive when it comes to buying a lot of these things. I also will once in a while pick up, of course I go to the grocery store, but I feel like Trader Joe's has the best variety when it comes to cheeses at the lowest price. Whole Foods has a great variety, so does Zanotto's around here. The one thing that Whole Foods and Zanotto's also have, which I think is great, is they have, of course, the big blocks of cheese or the big pieces of brie, but when they cut their cheeses and wrap them, there's always leftover pieces, and those little pieces are like this big, and they wrap those up and sell them for like $1.99. So those are great to add to a board if you want to have a lot of variety at a very, very inexpensive price.
And yeah, I've seen those edible flowers at Whole Foods and stuff. Yeah.
You can buy edible flowers at Whole Foods. You can buy them at Trader Joe's. You can grow them.
Yep. Right. Does anybody else have any more questions before we end up? Put them in the chat or feel free to unmute yourself and just ask. Don't be shy.
So the smaller individual containers that you did for COVID, you find those at World Plus or Cost Plus?
I haven't seen them at Cost Plus, but to be honest, I haven't looked. Here's just one of the this is plastic. You could use a jar or, you know, anything that you had at home, like if you have little bowls. And then these little containers here. I bought these on Amazon actually, and they just have a little plastic container that comes over it. So you can get them in white. You can also get like a brown, kind of butcher paper color, which really looks nice, especially when you put the lid on it. And if you just wrap it with a little bit of, just put a little ribbon around it, it looks really, really cute.
Yeah, they've been like Michael's and
Michael's, yeah.
Joann's Fabrics, etc. Yeah. Great.
Or if you just save your takeout containers, next time you get takeout, next time you want to put together some individual ones, just reuse that takeout container, those little plastic containers.
Yeah, for sure. All right. I'm gonna go back to this really quick in case you guys want a last shot of the of the board. And somebody was asking about the ingredients. We can send you the list afterwards. I can email that out of all the ingredients that Michelle used here. But you know, it also depends on like, you know, what you guys like, or if there's any dietary restrictions, that kind of thing. Yeah.
And
if you
really,
have
a
any
lot of
preference.
it, just start with what's in your fridge and in your pantry.
Mhm.
I guarantee, or what fruit you have sitting on your countertop, because a lot of that can be turned into a charcuterie board. You know, I had a pear left over and it was ripe. I chopped it up into tiny little slices, and I just found a pear out on here. Or same with an apple. So it is really versatile in terms of what you can do. We could definitely put a list out of different things to think about, and hopefully that will help you too.
Yeah. Sarah said, yeah, an email of the ingredients would be great. And Casey says, this was so fun. Thank you.
Thank you, Casey.
Yeah. All right. Does anybody have any last questions for Michelle? Just you know, shout them out or put them in the chat. Wait another minute just in case you guys do. Don't be shy. Oh, somebody says any vegan cheeses that you like for vegan people.
You know, to be honest, I'm not vegan. I haven't tried maybe in a restaurant, but otherwise I don't know any vegan cheeses I could recommend. But definitely if you look in, you know, any kind of gourmet shop, any mainstream shop now too, you can find some pretty good vegan products or plant-based. Like for instance, this cheese that I use, this Boursin cheese, now they have a plant-based version as well that you can do. And it comes in a tub. So, you know, there are a lot of options.
Actually, I am vegetarian vegan, and there are some pretty good ones. The Miyokos has made some pretty good sliced cheese. There is some good ones. Yeah, Boursin is doing a good job. Kite Hill has some good, really good spreadable cheeses. They're a really good creamy, super creamy brand. And then Follow Your Heart, that's another good one. They have a variety as well of different types of like sliced cheeses or cheese blocks as well. So those are just a few to name. It's gotten better over the years. Vegan cheese wasn't so good back in the day, but yeah. Casey said to email out the pictures of the boards too. They were a great inspiration. So yeah, I will do that as well. Everybody who participated today, we'll give all that information out afterwards.
Yeah, we really appreciate you taking the time to join us today.
Yeah.
Especially when we get to talk about something fun like charcuterie.
One more quick little viewing in case you guys want to take a picture of the of the charcuterie board that she did. You could take a screenshot if you want. And any last minute questions you guys have, just let us know. But yeah, thank you guys for coming. This was really fun, and Michelle is such an expert. And she's been doing it for a long time. And yeah, that's our little Valentine's thing, in case you missed it in the beginning. That's our Valentine's cookie cutter kit that you can check out here. And you can actually stamp some of the, like the cheddar cheese that Michelle has. You can stamp that into a little heart shape. So that's also an idea for Valentine's Day. But all right. If there's no more questions for Michelle, or if you guys think of them later, you can email us. But yeah, thank you for joining us. Thank you so much. Yeah,
See
and
you later.
say bye.
Bye.
All right. Have a good night, you guys. Thank you.